very good afternoon to you and welcome to another episode of the Young Voices Forum. Today is 11th February and it happens to be International Day for Women and Girls in Science. At Savannah Signatures, today we decided to spend our day with some girls in the science class at Tamale Senior High School. A discussion is coming on, but before we do that, we'll take you quickly to Tamale Girls Senior High School so that you can listen to some of the things the girls shared with us. We'll be right back. What's your name?
Mahama Ernestina Asana.
Why did you choose science?
Because I like science. Like, I just like the people I see in science, the things they do and how they carry out themselves.
Okay. Who's your role model?
Dr. Elsie Effa Kaufman.
Nice. What do you want to be in future?
I want to be a medical physicist.
Okay. Alright, so do you experience any challenges when it comes to science?
Yes, I do.
And what are they?
Okay, now, so we came to school before the COVID-19. So as at then, we were in school before the pandemic. So we had to go home and teaching and learning wasn't that effective. And aside, after the COVID, we reported back to school. And we have so many challenges in this school to say, okay, with the practical aspect, we do not get, we don't have adequate materials for practicals, so it retards, like, they are not able to carry out practicals very well. And sometimes due to some programs and those things, we are not able to attend classes and those things. So programs also hinder classes and those things. And also for biology and chemistry practicals, we lack reagents. Reagents that are there in the lab currently, they are expired. So we are not able to use them. And most of the apparatus, to say, like during titration, we are allowed to suck most of the reagent into the pipette. And we use our mouth. Yes, we use our mouth instead of pipette. It's not there. Yes. So yes, we urge you to get some. Yeah. And also, the expired reagents we use, as a result of sucking, some may enter your mouth, which is poisonous. Yeah, it's not safe for. Yes, it's hazardous to our mouth.
All right. Thank you very much. What's your name?
My name is Munkaila Nimatsu.
Okay. Why did you choose science?
I always wanted to do science since I was in my basic level. And then since I was in primary and my basic school stuff, I used to do good in science. And I always go to hospital. I always like visiting hospital almost every day. So I used to see the doctors and how they behave and especially how they dress. I used to like it and I was always inspired by them. And I used to say, oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. And my dad too, he used to always tell me that yeah, fit for it, just going for it. So I just had to do it.
Okay. Who's your role model?
I really don't have a role model, but I'm still searching for one.
Okay.
Though if I don't get one, I want someone to also see me as a role model.
Okay, that's nice. What do you want to be in future?
I want to be a very known medical doctor.
Very known medical doctor. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What's your name?
My name is Shamsuddin Rashid.
Okay. Why did you choose science?
I chose science because I saw that my dream career lies in science.
Okay. So what's your dream career?
My dream career is to be a pharmaceutical technician.
Okay. Do you have any role models?
Yes, please.
Can you name one?
I have my class teacher as my role model.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. What's his or her name?
His name is Atta Mohammed.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. What's your name?
Yes, my name is Jessica Nubiri Arumbesa.
Jessica, why did you choose science?
I chose science because of my sister.
Okay.
She motivated me. I learned that science was very, very difficult, but she told me that I should go for it because she believed in me that I can do it.
Do you have any role model?
Yes,
Who is she or he?
Balamundi.
Balamundi. Okay. What do you want to be in future?
I want to become a journalist.
You want to be a journalist. Okay. Why did you choose science?
I chose science because my father produces medicine locally. So I want to improve on it.
Okay. Do you have a role model? Who?
Dr. Ben Carson.
Dr.
Ben Carson.
Ben Carson. Okay. What do you want to be in future?
I want to be a pharmacist.
You want to be a pharmacist? How does it make you feel that they celebrate women and girls in science? Are there some of you that want to say anything to it? How does it make you feel that they celebrate women and girls in science?
It makes me feel very good
Because when they come and teach us or they show us some future leaders like some women, we also get courage and be able to do some better than that.
hear about it, I'm always excited because when they come and talk about things like that, it encourages us to also do more or learn more in other things.
Okay. Who else? Yes, that you have when it comes to the science. Is there anything that would help make the learning easier? Is there something that can be done? Yes, so how many of you want to tell me about the challenges? Okay, good. So now let me take the challenges. You?
So we do love water. So in the absence of water, we know we can't do any practicals. So sometimes we do have those challenges in this student. So we don't yet have to help out.
Like our lab is not well equipped. Most of the apparatus are not there for when we are going to carry out certain experiments. And this was really been a very difficult thing, like going to the lab and then carrying out experiments is very difficult. And most of the students, like in terms of like experiments, like when we are going to do experiments in the lab, you can see like 2 students using one apparatus, and this is very bad. And it is really affecting the state of science in the school.
And the chemicals in the lab are expired, which is a problem for the teachers. And also, there's no gas. The pipeline has been choked off by mice and other animals. This is a problem we are facing, which does not help us in our practical.
Welcome back. Well, you saw them. Those are students of Tamale Girls Senior High School. We had an engagement with them today, and you heard their dreams and their challenges too. Today, our conversation is centered around breaking barriers. In a world where women have made very major contributions to different fields, I think it's a bit sad that we are very underrepresented in the science field. So I'm talking to 2 amazing young women who are in the science fields today, and to get their thoughts, how they came out on top in the science field. Welcome, Dr. Rashida and Engineer Ethel.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you. I'm grateful that you have us on your show.
So today is International Day of Women and Girls in Science. What has this day meant to you?
For me, I think I'm quite excited that there's a day that has been set aside to celebrate women in science. Not that it's important because oftentimes not just women, for people, when their efforts are recognized, then they are more motivated. And as you said earlier, women are not really represented in areas of science. So to have a day set aside to celebrate women, especially women who have done a lot of work in water and sanitation, because I know this year's theme is centered on water and sanitation, I think it will empower more girls to go into such fields, because usually you have girls going into just the traditional science fields, medicine, engineering. Water and sanitation is not something you find a lot of women venturing into, so I think it's a good thing. It means a lot to me. It's also a day for me to reflect. What can I also do for ladies to empower them to be in the science field?
Okay. Today it's a good day for me to sit and reflect and be proud of myself, be proud of every single woman that is in the engineering field. Also in all other types of sciences, the medical, the oil and gas, everything that has to do with science, even as low as the students that decided to even do science in the senior high school. It's a big task to make that decision, because in the society that we are, we see science to be a difficult thing. So it's a day that I'm proud of every single woman in science.
Okay. Yeah. So what encouraged you into science? Is it something you always wanted to do?
For me, I wouldn't say it had always been something I wanted to do.
Okay.
When I was young, I was really into books, reading. I found journalism fascinating, right? And I thought maybe someday I'll be a journalist or a writer.
It's not too late though.
Yeah, I think we have medical journalists,
yeah.
So it's not too late. But then as time went on, I had some women around me who ventured into science. I had an auntie who was a pharmacist, and then my own grandmother was a nurse, moved on to become a PE. And it was nice seeing how people really respected them. Then I went to senior high school and I had an amazing science teacher who made it really interesting. It was interesting learning science from him and learning maths from him. So eventually, that thing where they encourage you based on the fact that you are doing well in a particular subject in school to go and do a course in science. So I pursued science. In senior high school, I almost decided to go back to my first love, but then I met two amazing women who taught me elective maths and physics, and then the love of science was back again. But ending up in medicine, I assessed my core subject, like my elective subjects, and I realized that if I made a mistake and I entered into engineering, I don't think I'll be sitting here today. So then I mean, biology is more of a reading subject and I love to read, so then I decided to do medicine.
Okay.
Probably we have a similar story where the journalism whole thing came about, because I remember, when I was a kid, I had this cousin that wanted to do engineering and I wanted to do medicine. At a point of my life, I realized I'll go for the journalism. It was quite encouraging till I started having the talent for drawing. Then I used to watch this program called DWTV, I think it's still on, where I used to watch and then have this architectural channel that used to come around, and then you get to see marvelous designs by people in Europe, and that's where the love started from. And I started encouraging myself. I told my parents about it. My mom knew that I could draw, so my mom is a teacher, so I could draw some of her teaching stuff for her when she goes to school, she could teach the students, and that is where the love came from. My parents encouraged me. I had a few people that were in science in my family and then friends, but most of them were medical and probably scientists. They were just working in other environments, but not in building or engineering itself. So the whole DWTV thing became a love, and that's where I picked most of my inspiration from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So from your narration, I can tell that you both come from very supportive families.
Yeah.
And then you had role models around you to also encourage that. But outside that, was there ever a point where people said, we are girls, you shouldn't do science and all of that?
Well, I wouldn't say I had something like that, but I would use now, not maybe my journey in the beginning, but then I'll use now. There are certain fields in medicine, right, where people deem it, I wouldn't say they deem it to be a male-dominated field, but then when you speak to people, they are not saying, oh, you can't do surgery because you're a female, because we have female surgeons and they are thriving. But then it comes off as, probably you should think of taking a less demanding field like the surgical disciplines, because then you won't have enough time for your family and stuff like that. You know, the whole thing where you have to prioritize your family over your career. Sometimes you get such comments and then you are like, I thought we were in a progressive society. And I believe if I have the right support, if I want to do surgery, if that is what I want to do, not that that is what I want to do, no, but if that is what I want to do and then I have the right support, I'll be able to, because there are really amazing surgeons out there. I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Hawa. She's very amazing. She has a perfect balance between her work life and then her personal life. So yeah, you will get some of those comments, but I don't think you should really take it to heart, because there are some of those things.
Yeah. To what she said, I think we on the same. I didn't also have people giving me bad feed on going into. Funny enough, in my senior high school, I didn't do science. I went in as visual arts student. In the school I attended, Tiamadia, we had a class where elective maths was part of visual arts, so that actually boosted most of the students that were afraid to go for science because they wanted to do architecture, they wanted to do anything that has to do with engineering. So I went to the elective maths class, but later in the term, the numbers started dropping because of the elective maths. So I was forced to move from visual to science. But later I realized that there's another class in general arts that has elective maths, has economics, and things I can actually use to boost me into the architectural school. But along the line, I was a bit scared of the science class. The thing I was here about physics, biology. I was okay, let me go for the elective. But when I went back on vacation, I made sure that I went to read to see that if I studied this elective, it will qualify me to the architectural school. So my parents helped me find more information about it. So I think it was in senior high school that I was a bit afraid of where I was going to, but when I got to read more, understand more, I got to communicate with some of my seniors that were back in primary school or GHS and that school, and then they're doing similar courses. Some of them motivated me to go in for it, and that's where I really didn't have anybody to tell me I couldn't do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So when you're speaking, you said like when you were in senior high school, somewhere along the line, there was a decline in the class that had the elective. Yeah. What do you think contributes to that? Like, why it's this whole fear wrapped around, mathematics and, chemistry for a lot of young girls? Is it that socialization, or could it be something that teachers are doing wrong?
No, I don't blame teachers, I blame the society. The generation where we came from doesn't encourage most, not even, they just put the female side, both male and female, doesn't really encourage most of us to go for. We see mathematics to be a difficult thing. Even back at primary school, most of us were scared of doing maths because when you're afraid, you cannot, the simple mathematics now we see as simple was difficult at that time, and that fear took most of us into that senior high school level. So it's more of the fear most of us had, and I would say most of our parents too that were also good at those fields, they also encourage us to be better. So that is where we carried all those fear from. But I don't think it was the teachers. My school, most of the teachers did their best. I remember when I ran away from visual arts, I had teachers come in and asking me what was the reason. And then some of them actually spoke to me, advised me. Some of them helped me also know that I could even do visual arts and do architecture without even elective maths. So there was a whole discovery around that time when I was in senior high school. Yeah.
Okay. So when you chose did you experience any challenges?
For me, was being the volume of work you were going to do was enormous. You know, you hear that medicine is difficult, and you have to read a lot of books, but you do not know the amount of work you are going to put in, the fact that you have to miss family occasions, a lot of things, and if you do not juggle well, you get stressed. So at a point, I was stressed. I would say there was a point where I'm sure I had given up. I was now going through the school because then I had to finish and then get a certificate. But I think that was my biggest challenge, the fact that I couldn't strike a perfect balance between my normal life and then school life, and then making sure that the stress didn't get to me. I think that was my biggest challenge.
Okay, Ethel.
Yeah, I think we are also on the same page, but I also faced the fact that I was the only female in my class.
Wow. No, wait, tertiary or senior high?
Tertiary.
Only female in your
I
class?
was the only female in my class.
Okay.
Then at some point in engineering, where you have similar courses like civil, that is similar to building, you have some courses you have to sit with others. And then in that combination, I had a fellow classmate who was a lady. So in her class too, she was only female. And came back to being in separate departments again. Then I was in the regular school. As you go ahead, the numbers drop. Some people want to give up, some people, and at some point, I had to combine the weekend to my regular class, and that was when I knew that at that point I didn't know whether I'm giving up or I should continue, because out of a class of 60, I was the only female. So when I turn my back, it's just a male. If I turn this way, it's just a male. There was no one that you thought could be in the same shoe with you and everything. So it was a bit difficult. Even with the department at which I was there was just one woman. It was a lady that was a lecturer. So she was the only person that could encourage you and doing what you have to do. So that was, as much as it was a breaking down or something for me, I thought at some point I was like, nah, I could push. If in a class of 60, I'm still doing well at this point, because I think when I got to that class, I think I was in second year or third year or something. But like, if I could get to this stage, my third year in a class of 60 as the only lady, then I can push it. Because I remembered, I started thinking, okay, I'm in a field where it's male dominated. If I'm able to fight this fear in this stage, I think when I go out to the real world, I'll be able to face what is ahead there. So that's where I pick my motivation. That's where my breaking point was.
Okay, so when you were struggling, was there anything that could have been done differently that would have supported you?
Yes.
Is there anything that could have been out there that would have made you, feel much better? Like, was there any kind of support that would have made you feel better or would have helped at that point?
Yes. I remember when I got to that stage, I started consulting families, friends. Some were encouraging, you can do it. Some were like, if you cannot manage the situation now, then give up. That is where it was, because I was expecting that someone should tell me it's something you can move on to. And in the school, when people started dropping, some of the females started dropping, not even my course, another department, I felt the school or the lecturers had the opportunity to still talk to the students, give them encouragement. Yes, if you look at, like she said, when you look at the kind of junk of work you have to read, you have to practice, it's even scary. So most females see that and they're like, how am I going to balance my school life? Like she said, you have to forgo certain social life, certain family occasions, and honestly, it's not easy to balance those things. So some people actually gave up when it got to the balancing, because a few ladies that I had the opportunity to speak to or be friends with, that was the issue. They were how to balance the school and balance their life, and how to balance their family situations that they were facing at that time. So yes, I think our parents, the school, society could have motivated us to still be in the course.
When you were in school, did you have any female lecturers?
Yes, I did have one in my department, but I think in just the building department it was just her, but the rest of them were males, yeah. But we have the businesses, you have a lot of females. But in my department, it was just when she was the lady that taught us architectural drawings. So yes, I think she was the only one that.
Yeah. You mentioned that in class when you're struggling, when you turn here there is a male. When you turn that like male-dominated class, basically the only girl. If there were more female lecturers or more women in the class, would it have helped?
Yes, it would, because you walk into a class where it's just males, and a male is teaching. Sometimes when you even get something wrong, you feel very deteriorated. You just sit down and you're like, you feel so bad. Okay, then he asks a guy gets it. The praises are given to all the males. You're just sitting down. I felt very encouraged when she comes to class. Even though she was a strict type, the funny thing is the guys didn't also like her because she was a strict type. But when she comes to class, I was a bit scared of her at the beginning because of the way she was. But at the end of the day, I like the way she was. Because when I even get something wrong, she pushes me till I get the answer before she moves on to the next question. So it was like her aim was actually to make sure that I get to my end story with good colors. So that was actually a good motivation for me.
Rashida, was there anything that could have helped when you were struggling?
I think for me, I felt it was very important that at just the level of maybe junior high school, senior high school, a lot of career seminars were organized for us, okay. I went into medical school having a different thought, and then I got in and then I had a different thought altogether. And I think it happens with a lot of people who end up being in places where they do not want to be. I'm just lucky that I grew to love what I'm doing. But then in the beginning, if it was very tough, and I wasn't like really making it. I mean, it would have been so easy for me to fall back, to drop out and go back to journalism. After all, that's what I wanted to do. But then, if I had had a career seminar and understood certain things, maybe I wouldn't have been a medical doctor. I would have been a journalist, and I'll love what I'll do, or I'll be something else. I think that's a big problem in our society. We send people to school without them knowing what they are doing. We just end up doing so many things, and then we have so many graduates coming out and they are frustrated because they are not doing what they love and they don't know how to monetize some of their skills. So if more sessions are organized for women, like not just women, I mean students in general, and then especially for girls, so that they know that, well, you can be this and be that. Because for some girls, I mean, when I was in school, I knew some girls who wanted to just get a first degree and then be done with it, because they just needed a degree so that at least they are also noted as university graduates. Because after all, she's going to end up marrying and then staying in the house. So what's the point of furthering? But if there's a career session that tells her that, oh, you can still be a doctor and be a wife, a mother, it would really help a lot of girls.
Okay. Do you have any regrets? Like, with regards to your field of study, do you have any regrets? Do you want a do-over?
Let me put it this way. If I went back to medical school, I would do a lot of things differently.
Okay.
I would have, I mean, people used to go for seminars on how to balance school life and other things, and some of us thought it was work, okay? But I think for those people, they did too. I have some classmates that were juggling so many things and they were still on top of the class because they knew how to manage their time well. And then at the beginning of medical school, I was just into reading my books and then not exploring other things. But then when I got the opportunity, I mean, at that time it was too late. I got a little exposure, but then if I had started that earlier, I'm sure things would have been very different. I would be a different kind of medical doctor.
Oh, okay.
To me, no.
Okay. You would do this all over again.
I love my food.
Okay. So if you just joined us, this is the Young Voices Forum, and today we are discussing the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. So far, the conversation has been very interesting and insightful. You can also join the conversation by leaving your questions, your comments, or contributions in our comment section. You can also share the video so that other young girls can benefit from this discussion. And this program is brought to you by Savannah Signatures with support from UNICEF Ghana. and UNESCO. So if you have any questions, any contributions, just keep them coming. All right, so after everything that we've spoken about, do you think that there are certain barriers that prevent women from going into science, like systemic barriers? Because I don't know. I know a lot of women in medicine, engineering, and all of that, but still I feel like it's not enough. It's really not enough. I don't know if we are not really putting them out there, or like they are not enough.
For me, one, I would say as a society, we still haven't been able to outgrow the fact that women can do more. Women are also as powerful as a man. We are able to encourage our little sisters that they can also do what a man can do, even in a difficult field. Also, I would say, for me, I'm using myself for an example. I'm in an industry where it's fully male dominated. It's very difficult for you to put yourself out there if you are not being lifted out there. So we need more of our females and also our fellow men. If you know that you have a female that is doing very well, you need to push her to go to the top. Some people say, oh, she's a lady, so why do we have fellow men that are also doing her job? Why don't you put her that? So at the end of the day, we are being suppressed and wherever we are. So I think it's also the mentality. We just need to also know that the female is good enough to be put out there. Yeah.
I agree with Ethel. I think social conditioning plays a very big role in the fact that we do not have a lot of women, especially in fields like engineering, pure science, and the maths. And I think it's because of the fact that for a very long time we've seen only males in those fields, and it becomes like the norm, like the normal. You see, it's a male area, so males will thrive there. And then the fact that people believe that science and math is very difficult, and things that are that difficult can only be done by men, which I mean, time and again we've seen that that's not the case. And for some people too, it is not the fact that they believe that women cannot do it, but it's from where they are coming from. I mean, for those of us who grew up in urban areas, we are privileged to have good support systems and people who have seen, they say that what the eye doesn't see, the mind would not know.
Yeah.
And once you've not been exposed to something, you will never be able to dream to that level. So you can take the rural girl, for instance, who has seen males be the head of everything or moved in certain spaces. Yeah. And then she won't even aspire to be that, because she doesn't have those kind of people around her. Even if she has people come, like let's say we have an event and then people like us go and speak to her, fine, she's heard, but does she have the social support to push her there? Yeah. So it's mainly how we've been socialized to think that science and math is just for males. And if you're a woman and then you enter that field, that means that you're a dog, you do not have any sense of humor, you are not feminine enough. Yeah. So you're a tomboy. That's the thing. I mean, if I want to be feminine, I won't go into a tomboy related industry.
And I think another thing too that it keeps coming up when we talk about women in science, do you feel like people place you in a box, as in you are supposed to dress a certain way? Do you feel like that?
Well, for me, I've not had that, but I've heard people pass comments about other people, right? I don't know if you this lady who went for Ghana's Most Beautiful Seto, the medical doctor. I mean, I heard people pass the comments like, hey, she's a doctor and she's going for a beauty pageant. I mean, so she cannot show her feminine side because she's a doctor. Or if Ethel should go to work dressed this flamboyant with all these bright colors, I mean, she's an engineer. We expect her to wear dull colors. Yeah. People do not expect women in science to have a feminine side. I mean, it's not so bad for maybe we the medical doctors. But then for those doing hardcore, like pure science related, if she comes wearing her flamboyant dress, hey, also to me dresses are like that kind of thing.
I've seen people pass comments about Dr. Elsie's. Every year's Science and Maths quiz, there is always it's like people are obsessed that she has a fashion sense. Yeah. I don't know why.
No, I would also say to me, I felt it's a surprise. Someone like me, I'm always in boots 24/7. From morning to evening to night. If I have to be on the field, I have to. I'm not the engineer that sits in the office. I'm always in the sun. So a day like this, if I walk to my field dressed like this, everybody's going to be like,
what happened today?
What happened today? Madam, are you the one? It's more like we look down on certain jobs. Yeah, my job like this will not get you having to dress every day like this. It will make you look as if you are from the bush every day.
And now, don't you think that people find it difficult to separate your jobs from your personal lives?
Yes, that's because we are not used to that environment. We are not used, Africa or they say Ghana here, people are not used to having engineers be, when they're in the engineering field, be engineers, and when they're outside the field, be somebody else. It's just like the medical field. She going to the hospital, she has to wear all her stethoscope and her coat and everything. When they see her outside and she decides to wear, and you tell her, she says, I'm a medical doctor, you're like,
and you're dressed this way?
Really? Today like this, I know if I walk out and then someone sees me and say, oh, I'm an engineer, so you're like, are you serious? They expect you to dress in a dull, looking all serious manner. And that's the thing. I have colleagues who every day were like, are you sure you're going to the job? Like, you're going to work and stuff, because they feel you're too dressed. But the thing is, to me, if I'm dressed well I'm very confident. I know wherever I'm going, I can deliver. I don't want to go and look like somebody that is having 1 million problems. When I know I'm going to the field to go and solve issues, I shouldn't be going. And I think, to me, dressing to me, it's that's some of the things that beats all my problems down. If I'm able to be confident when I get to my field, I'm good.
So, don't you find it problematic that people are not able to reconcile your personal lives with your work lives? I have had people say that if you do not dress like how the men dress, you do not get respect or something. Like, even if you're out of the field, Ethel, like even if you're out of the field, I think that there is this expectation of women, especially engineers, to look a certain way even outside the field. And I've had people say they do it because if you do not do like that,
you need to blend with the people.
Yeah, you need to blend with the people. If not, people will not take you seriously. There was one time I was reading an article online where this PhD student was complaining that she's someone that likes to experiment with clothes. She loves, looking good and all of that. But then when she's in school, she feels the need to wear something not flattering, so that they'll be able to take her seriously. It's like your smartness is not valid if you are not dressed in a particular way. Like if you do not look all nerdy or a dog, it's like
No, I actually get what you're saying though.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I also had those things at some point where I think I ever met a client where he wanted some services, and when I got there, the guy was like, the person who actually introduced him to me, he asked the person, is he sure that this lady
is the
engineer that is coming, because she definitely doesn't look like an engineer. Then I asked the client, what makes you think I'm not an engineer? She was like, you actually in boots and stuff. And I'm like, I asked him, am I in the field? That's the first question I asked him. If I'm in the field, I'm not in the field, so why should I wear safety boots? Safety boots are always boots we wear when we're on the side, just for safety, to protect our feet from getting hurt or something. So if I come to you in your office, you expect me to wear safety boots, what is dangerous in your office that I need to wear that? You're saying people look at us in a certain way. I suffered that, but I trained my mind that since people see that, I need to start to change their mentality about that. So I now find pride in looking different and going to places. We have sentiments. We go there and somebody says, all these people are engineers. Everybody's all looking more like an engineer. I come in and sit down and I prefer looking like a secretary.
Okay.
Just look all different. People expect me to wear trousers and I'll go and I'll wear a dress.
Okay.
The only thing that is, when you get to the field, all of us will have to look different. You have to wear a shirt. I can't wear this when I'm on the field. Definitely something can pull my shirt or something. So I would have to go with just a normal simple top with a jeans trouser and my safety boots. So at that point, I am like them. And that is the most important part. To me, I feel that's the most important part for every female engineer to know. Once you're on the field and you look like them, you beat all barriers, you are equal at that moment. They might say things verbally to get you to know that, or get people to know that you're a female. But once you are dressed like them, that should be able to break the barriers. Just like what she said, she's in the medical field. Once she wears her coat and her stuff, I think she's okay. If you go to the theater, they all wear their scrap shoes and their shirts, their trousers. She doesn't wear a dress when she goes to the theater. So I think at that moment, she shouldn't be seen as a female, but there she's there as a doctor to save her life. So yeah, basically it's.
Dr. Rashida, how do you deal with people mistaking you for a nurse half of the time?
I mean, this is a very interesting question. I mean, I react based on who it is.
Okay.
I'll give 2 experiences I've had. The first was, I was sitting, I work at TTH, so when you enter some of the wards at TTH, there's usually like a reception kind of thing at the ward area. So I was sitting there in my lab coat in scraps with I think I was in scraps with my name written and my title, Dr. Rashida Gomda, with a stethoscope on. And then this gentleman walks up to me and then goes like, "Mommy nurse." I think I was typing in a patient's history. He goes like, "Mommy nurse, I don't look up. Mommy nurse, I don't look up." Then he says, "Madam." Then I look up. Then I said, "How can I help you?" Then he speaks English to me. He starts, "I'm from this insurance company." I tell him, "Hold on. So you can read and write. You saw Dr. Rashida Gomda written on my scraps. You saw me in a stethoscope, and you still went ahead to call me a nurse. Is it that you think doctors cannot be females, and then every female you see in the world is a nurse? I mean, nurses are wonderful people. If I was a nurse, fine. But it just shows that if nursing was also a male-dominated field, it's the same way he would not expect. It's not like he would not expect. It's he refuses to acknowledge the fact that a female can be a doctor.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was very angry. I told him I'm not someone who was going to even do the insurance policy in the first place. But with this, I was very mad at him. I told him to leave because it was kind of insulting.
Very, very.
Why would you?
Because you are literate. You are literate.
Accept the fact that is. I mean, I didn't go to school for 7 years to be disrespected like that.
Yeah.
In that instance, I was really mad.
I am sorry for making you relieve all the anger all over again.
But then there was another scenario where I was attending to this patient's relatives were illiterate, and that he now was trying to apologize. I mean, I didn't see. It felt hypocritical. I didn't. Yeah. To the next scenario, to the next experience rather, and his relatives were illiterate. So I noticed that. I didn't even notice. They were just calling madam, sister, like those things. It didn't bother me. So apparently, the whole time, the guy's father thought I was a nurse. I mean, I've been coming to you. I'm not the one who administers your medications to you. I mean, you've seen that. The whole time, he thought I was a nurse. One day, and then he comes to me and he's like, "Madam," he says in the Bani, Gaffaraya, I'm sorry. I've been calling you. I've been thinking you were a nurse all this while. I didn't know you were a doctor. And I saw that this is a sincere apology. This is someone who doesn't know.
No.
So usually some of my colleagues would really be off. But I mean, it depends. Some people intentionally do it.
Yeah.
So if that one, I won't spare you. I would let you. I'll put you in your shoes. But then if it's unintentional, I mean, you can't blame them. In the village, the person he sees to be a doctor is a male, so he doesn't expect to come and see a female doctor.
Yeah.
So it's quite understandable. But if you're illiterate and you call me Mami Ness,
we'll fight. Okay, so what today is it's been, the conversation has been really great. I am actually very sad that we are gradually drawing to the end of the program. It's really sad. I wanted this conversation to go on, but I'm very sure that one of these days I'll find a way to drag both of you back here again, because it's been very, very, very insightful. So today, what do you have to tell young girls who are watching today?
For me, I want them to know that they can be anything and everything they want to be. It is not that they can be A or B. They can be A and B. Most of the time, we tell girls to aspire to be whatever they want to be, without acknowledging the fact that there are other things that they want to be. I mean, they've seen us talk about being medical doctors, but they've not seen how they can be both the mother, the wife they want to be, and then be a medical doctor. I think we really neglect that aspect, and it would be very nice to have more women speak about that part of it, because it seems if you want to achieve everything, if you are highly ambitious like myself and Ethel, then that means that you cannot be the other thing. But that is wrong, and they should know that they have the right social support out there. They just have to get to the right people, and then I mean, they can be feminine and they can be in the science field. Like you said, Madam Elsie is very feminine. She owns her femininity, and then she's in the science field. You don't have to be dorky and wear dull colors. You can be as flamboyant as you want. The most important thing is that you are confident in what you do and what you wear.
Yeah, I think she said it all. She just put all in one box. Yeah, but I would want to also encourage the girls that you don't have to put yourself in one box. I never encourage anybody to put themselves in one box. You can choose to be in science and choose to be in a different field.
Okay.
If you put your mind to it, you'll get it.
Yeah.
Someone like me, I don't have myself just fixed in engineering.
Okay.
I move out of the box. I go and learn things that I think around the corner I might use it once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't encourage anybody to do one thing. I also say I would want to also encourage our parents, our family, and our society to always give our sisters the helping hand, because most of these ladies that complain or have issues in science, they don't have the backing. They don't have anybody to hold their shoulder, to push them when they need that help. So yes, I would say the advice would also be going to go to the social families, to help their sisters.
Okay. So all too soon, we have come to the end of the program. I would have wished that we continue, but I'm sure that there will be a lot of other days that I'll drag them back here, because I really, really enjoyed the conversation today. So if you are watching, you are looking for information on career paths, the Agoshi Plus platform exists for you. All you have to do, if you're a young person, just call 5100, and then you get to talk to someone who would give you the best advice on what to do. If you have any reproductive health issue, the Agoshi Plus platform is for you too. You have to call 5100, and then you can talk to someone. Usually I have a lot of final words, but today I think that my job has been done for me, so I am just going to clock out with this little poem from Nikita Jill. It says, "Defined by no man, you are your own story, blazing through the world, turning history into history. And when they dare to tell you about all the things you cannot be, you smile and tell them, I am both war and woman, and you cannot stop me. So until we come your way, same time next week, this has been the Young Voices Forum, and it's bye for now. Yay! What's your name?
Mahama Ernestina Asana.
Why did you choose science?
Because I like science. Like, I just like the people I see in science, the things they do, and how they carry out themselves.
Okay. Who's your role model?
Dr. Elsie Effa Kaufman.
Nice. What do you want to be in future?
I want to be a medical physicist.
Okay. Alright, so do you experience any challenges when it comes to science?
Yes, I do.
And what are they?
Okay, now, so we came to school before the COVID-19. So as at then, we were in school before the pandemic. So we had to go home, and teaching and learning wasn't that effective. And aside, after the COVID, we reported back to school. And we have so many challenges in this school to say, okay, with the practical aspect, we do not get, we don't